Hello and welcome. Thank you for watching, and please hit subscribe if you haven't already so you will be notified when I make new videos. I want to thank everybody for commenting and watching. I try to respond to most of the comments if I can, or questions anyway. Things that don't require a response, I may not respond. But thank you. Today I want to talk about sex and the occult ideas or the hidden ideas that the average person may not be aware of. Because in our society today there is a lot of issues from prostitution, sexual assaults, and this is unnecessary. It doesn't need to be this way. It's this way because of the way we have taught people, the way our parents have taught us, the way society has been taught, the way the church and some religions have shamed sex to make it what it is today. And being aware of this, we can change this. So let's talk about first what love is, because this is a big confusion which people don't understand, because a lot of people don't have love. They don't know what love is. They think that love is the feeling of attachment that you get from people that you try to control. That's what they think what love is. And a lot of people believe this. These feelings they get of attachment to people that they try to control. That's what they think what love is. But it's not love, it's the feeling of attachment. Attachment and love are two different things. And I would say that there is a good portion of society that has not love but attachment. And they don't want to let their partner or spouse live freely. They want to control them, tell them what they can and can't do, and to make themselves happy. It is self-serving, that kind of love. So what is love? Well, there are different kinds of love. I just told you about this attachment, emotion. We're talking about emotions here. This is the psychology and emotions of love. And the first kind of love I want to talk about is self-love. Now, when people think of this, they think of, they'll think of a narcissist who has these grandiose visions of himself and needs other people to praise him. That's not self-love. That's self-loathing. Because people who love themselves don't need other people to approve of them or praise them or anything like that, because they love themselves. They don't need you to love them. The self-loathing is a narcissist, someone who doesn't like themselves, so they need other people to praise them, and that's how if they feel, if you think I'm great, then that means I'm great. And I don't have to feel that way, just as long as you feel that way. And the reason they feel that way is because they don't have self-love. They were taught at a young age that there's something wrong. What's wrong with you? And a lot of these sexual issues come from the way our parents and society has taught us. And the most dangerous and destructive thing right now in society that you can tell to a young, growing boy is, be a man. Because when you say, be a man, come on, don't cry, be a man, what you're telling them is, don't be human, don't have emotions, but be this thing we call a man. So the child looks around. And if he has an abusive father, well, he'll think that's what a man should be. If he looks in Hollywood, he'll see all these fabrications of what men should be. And what this causes is them to grow up to be violent, because that's what society looks at men, what men are in movies, violence. And to learn more about this, because this is very important, there's a movie called The Mask You Live In. I believe it's what it's called, The Mask We Live In. Look it up on YouTube. There is a version there. There's a one you can pay for. I think it's $2 or $2.99. And it's a documentary from psychologists looking into this issue of how we're raising our children. Just because something was done in the past doesn't mean it's right. If it's wrong now, if it was done in the past, it was wrong then too. It wasn't right then. It was wrong then, if it's wrong now. And this is another problem that people think just because my father slapped my mother around, then that means it was okay then. No, it wasn't okay then. And we have this problem in society where men are growing up violent. All these, and it's not just here in America, it's in a lot of countries where women are treated as less, as if they are less, which is a lie, plain and simple. There is no reason you can give me to tell me why men are better than women. One of the biggest things that people think is men are better than women because they're stronger. Not all men are stronger, but that's completely irrelevant. Who says strength has anything to do with value? It doesn't. Maybe brains have something more to do with it. Maybe the ability to reproduce. But to treat people equally is something, and to really believe they are, not just pretend to treat people equally, because everybody can see through that. The days of chivalry and going around and doing everything for the meek woman, like holding the door and holding her chair because she's less, are coming to an end. Women can do those things for themselves. They're not less. They're not, they can take care of themselves. In the past, we can see that women, they weren't allowed to take care of themselves. There were times in the past where women weren't allowed to go out at night by themselves. Just wasn't done because, they couldn't take care of themselves. And they couldn't drive, and they couldn't vote. This equality thing comes from the idea that men needed to put women down to feel better about themselves. That's all it is. It's a psychology issue. If they are less, then that means I'm up, I'm higher. So that's how it works. In order to make yourself, build yourself up, you need to put other people down. And the movie, The Mask You Live In, if you get a chance to watch it, maybe I'll put a link in the description box for it. But I highly recommend it because it gets into detail about how we are raising our boys and girls. When you raise a girl and you put them in beauty pageants at a young age, you're teaching them superficial values, that your looks are the only thing that values. And then they grow up to be very insecure because your looks don't stay forever. And when your looks go, so do they. Their mind goes. And psychological issues and mental illness affects women at a very high rate because of this teaching from a young age that you need to put makeup on because you're not good enough. You need to do something else, cover that face up with something else because you're not good enough. If you're good enough, you don't need makeup. Makeup is a very dangerous thing because it's teaching you a lesson that without this, you're not good enough. And you are. It's a lie that you're not. And I know women will say they wear makeup to make themselves feel better. Why? You shouldn't feel horrible about yourself the way you are naturally. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What makes a person beautiful is not what's on the outside. It's who you are on the inside. And this may seem like a cliche, but it is true. Some of the ugliest people I have known were beautiful to the appearance, but ugly on the inside. And men, they're raised with this idea that be a man, don't have emotions, don't cry. Human emotions are natural, and to try to suppress them causes problems down the line. Around 45, 40 to 50 years old, men will have a lot of nervous breakdowns because of all the stuff they've held inside and they couldn't be human. They were told they can't be human. You got to be something else. Got to be a machine. And when you live lies, you suffer. This is about living lies. And when it comes to sex and gender, there are a lot of lies. And it creates a lot of problems in society. And I'm getting to them today. I'm going to try to move along very quickly because I don't want to make this too long because the subject is so important. I could talk a long time about this because it runs deep. And a lot of the stuff we've been taught have been taught to from our parents, and it goes back to our grandparents, and it goes back to the church, and it's really about control. The church wants to control sex, to control people. They control how you have sex, when you have sex, who you're going to have sex with. But isn't that an invasion of being natural? In all of the animal kingdom and every other living thing on this planet, sex isn't shamed. They're not ashamed of it. But human beings have been taught to be ashamed of it. From the moment they drew a fig leaf on the genitalia of Adam and Eve, they started shaming sex as it was something that is evil. You're a sinner. And now, you know, thousands of years later, or over 1,000 years, 2,000 years later, or more, we have people that believe if their child sees a penis that they're going to be scarred for life. Why? It doesn't make any sense. This is a human body. It's natural. But yet people have this shame built up in their minds that it perverts their minds. It's false, created shame, handed down through generation after generation to control what you do and how you do it and when you do it. And there's something about, I'm going to call it the forbidden fruit theory. And this is a little bit of psychology about if you tell a child, do not touch that cup that's on the table, because if you do, the cup will levitate and then disappear. So don't touch that cup. Well, the child, as soon as you turn your back, is going to want to touch that cup. It's a desire because it doesn't make sense. What you just told them doesn't make common sense, even to a child. And they want to test it for themselves. Now, if you tell a child, don't stick that fork in your eye because it'll hurt and you may lose your eye. Well, that makes sense. So there won't be a desire to stick a fork in his eye because it's logical and it makes sense what you just told him to do. Now you see the difference between the two? When you tell somebody to do something that is just done out of control or doesn't make sense or is illogical and doesn't fit with our common sense, well, they're going to want to prove you wrong by touching it. And that's what goes on with the sex shaming. You're told don't touch. Well, there's a reason why it's very common for the pastor's son to be gay. Because it was shamed to the point that he can be taught to be gay. People can be taught to be gay, and it's a choice, but some are actually born gay. Men and women are born with a brain that is identical. They're not different. But there is an X and a Y chromosome that you can be born with that makes you use your brain differently. Even though you have the same brain, men and women, they use it differently. But most of the way men and women use their brains are the same. There's very, very little differences. It's just a matter of perspective, the way men and women view things. Now, some people say it's the left brain and the right brain mentality. Men use the left side of their brain, women use the right side of their brain more. And they have different views and perspectives on things. And I guess a good way to explain it is if a man is driving a car going to a destination, he's going to find the shortest route and he's going to plan a direct path to get it done as quickly and efficiently as possible. Women don't care about quickly and efficiently. They may take the scenic route and get there, but they're not under any stress to get there in a specific time or the quickest route. That's just a little idea of the differences between how men and women think. Now, when we're born, these differences really don't matter too much until society and our parents and the church start influencing us with other ideas. And then they change us. And this sex shaming of the church and your parents can lead a child to become gay because they choose it. Some gay people may be born that way. And it is rare that generally there has been a growth in homosexual and lesbian people, and it's not because they're being born that way. Yes, it does happen, but a good majority choose it, and there's nothing wrong with that. You want to choose it, choose it. Be who you want to be. Live the way you want. But we have to understand that sometimes our choices we make are done because of what we've been taught. And we have to understand that. And the problem we have in this society today, where so many people are against people being gay or homosexual or lesbian, is because of this idea that love is sex. These people believe that love and sex are together. They're the same thing. They're combined, and they're not. Love is not sex. Any two people can love each other, man or woman, adult or child. They can love each other. You can love your son or daughter. You can love your grandmother. You can love a friend. Sex has nothing to do with love. But there are people out there that believe love and sex are connected. And these people are the ones that have been taught this teachings from the church and their parents, and it has perverted their mind into believing that love and sex are the same thing, and that's why they can't believe that two men can love each other. And they can. But they can't because they don't like sex that way, so nobody else can, and it's ignorant. Jesus loved everybody. It had nothing to do with sex. So we need to understand that, because society has gone a little crazy, because they're confused. This is what happens when you live lies. Then after love of self, there's another kind of love called love of family and friends. This is you may have self-love, and then you love family and friends. This is the people that you love and you care for deeply, you have empathy for, you want to be healthy and happy, and you want them to live a happy life. But it only extends to your immediate family and friends, the people that you come in contact with. This is another kind of selfish love, where you only love the ones that affect you. That's another kind of love. And it's a progress. I mean, we start off and we work through what real love is. And the next one is love of humanity. That's loving everybody with empathy. You don't want to see anybody suffer or starve to death or get beaten or tortured or murdered. There are some people that are disconnected. If the person that is being tortured or starving is a different race in a different country, they don't care. They can pretend they care, but they really don't care. And the word here is care. Really care. People can pretend they care, but that's not really caring. That's just pretending. Because if we really cared about the suffering of other people, there wouldn't be suffering in the world. But there is, because people don't care. And the last one is the love of the universe. To some people this may sound crazy. That's because they're living lies and they don't understand that the universe is part of them. The sun and the moon and the planets and those stars are part of you. They've been with you since the day you were born, even before you were born. They were there. That light influences you. Everything needs light to grow. Everything, including you. Without it, you die. And the light you get from the sun and the moon and these planets affect you. They help you grow. They affect you emotionally. And people don't understand that because they believe it's them and then there's everything else. They're disconnected from themselves and what this whole universe is. It's part of you. You're not separate from the universe. The universe is you. And so is everybody else. They're connected. Now, another thing that I want to touch on here in this video is the obsession that some societies, like the United States, has with breasts. Now, there are many cultures throughout the world that women don't wear a top in public. And the men don't go crazy. They don't lose their mind over it. And they don't rape the women. They don't assault them. Why is that? Simply because in some cultures like the United States, the mind is corrupted and perverted to believe that breasts are some kind of something other than what they're intended for women to feed a baby. And some men have lost it. They don't understand. And you know what's odd is people from other cultures come here to the United States and they're amazed at this obsession. And it's something that you need to think about, because there are cultures living today in different parts of the world where the women don't wear a top, and they don't have the problems. There's no rape, there's no sexual assault. Sex is sacred. It's not selfish. And I think that's the thing we have to point out, is the sex shaming that has been created over the past several hundred years from churches trying to tell people how to have sex, when to have sex, who to have sex with. It's just got out of control. And what it has created is a oversexed society. And that's basically the point that I'm trying to make with this video, is it doesn't have to be that way. We can take a look at what we've been taught and ask, is it true? Or is it something that they want you to believe is true? Because you should be able to live your life the way you want. But you have to, and you know, if you want to be gay, straight, bisexual, it's up to you. It's your personal choice. And nobody should stick their nose into anybody else's business. There's a thing called liberty. If you don't like people having same sex, same gender sex, then don't do it. But to try to tell other people how to live their life is wrong. That's not liberty. That's not what it is people not minding their own business. And I think that's about all I want to say. I don't want to make this video too long. I try to keep it under 30 minutes, and it's going to be getting pretty close to that. So that's all I want to say. If you have any questions, put them in the description, put them in the comments, and I'll try to answer all the questions that I have on this subject. And as usual, after I'm done, there'll be things I wanted to mention that I don't, but that's just how it goes. So until next time, thank you for watching. Please subscribe and have a great day.